Bill and Melinda Gates are getting a divorce. The couple announced their separation on Twitter yesterday, saying in part, quote, "After a great deal of thought and a lot of work on our relationship, we have made the decision to end our marriage." Bill and Melinda were married for 27 years, and they are currently number 4 on the Forbes billionaire list with a $124 billion net worth. The couple owns several assets, and among the many things they accomplished together, they created their philanthropic organization, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. And according to court documents, they do not have a prenuptial agreement. Joining me now to weigh in on what this could be and what this could mean, rather, one of the most expensive divorces in history is family law attorney Tracey Coates. Good morning to you, Tracey. Thanks for joining me.
Good morning. Thank you so much for having me this morning.
Of course. I mean, obviously, you're perfect for this, given your legal background. So I want to quickly, while this shocked many people around the world, this was trending on Twitter, I want to just briefly get what your initial reaction was to this news, given your legal background.
I think my initial reaction is what's on the minds of many people, and that is whether or not Bill and Melinda Gates had a prenuptial agreement. And as you just indicated, there are certainly sources that are saying that have obtained copies of the complaint for divorce that was filed in Washington state yesterday, that they in fact do not have a prenuptial agreement. And of course, what's key there is a prenuptial agreement, particularly when you're dealing with parties of significant wealth, is the fact that it's designed to cover and protect what assets individuals bring into the marriage and also what they've acquired during the marriage in the event of a divorce. So I do think it's going to be only time will tell whether or not that is indeed true. But one thing that is particularly interesting is that it is reported that they do have a separation agreement, and a separation agreement sort of outlining everything that they're going to and how they're going to divide their marital assets.
I was going to ask you about that. The separation agreement indicates that they at least appear to have been working on this for a while, how they will be separating their assets. I'm curious really quickly, would you be surprised if they in fact did not have a prenuptial agreement, because they got married just before or around the time Bill Gates was named the richest person in the world?
It would surprise me, because as you just indicated, that yes, he founded Microsoft about 20 years before they even got married. And so when you're talking about somebody who has assets, a young multi-billionaire, you would have expected him to have protected those assets in the event, obviously not with the thought, but in the event that something like this did happen. So it is a little surprising, but not uncommon.
I do want to ask you about the terminology that they used in the court documents. Irretrievably broken. What does that mean?
So that is really, although I'm not licensed in the state of Washington, but really that concept is the fact that there is no reasonable hope of expectation of reconciliation. And so really that their marriage from their perspective cannot be fixed. They've sort of worked on it, and that they've decided and come to the conclusion that it's better for them to live separate and apart and to be divorced.
All right, let's talk about the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. They are among the most charitable foundations, privately owned foundations in the world. What does this mean? Are they going to want to create their own foundations? Are they going to have differences in terms of who they want to give to, what organizations and people they want to give to?
Absolutely. I mean, you've touched upon a lot of the important factors that are going to go into continuing to run the Bill and Melinda Foundation. And as you know, both of them have very concerted efforts, and philanthropic efforts are very important to each of them. Now, you know, it's reported that the foundation gives away about $5 billion in health care and aid around the world. And so it will be interesting, even though they have released the joint statement on Twitter indicating that they will continue to serve as co-chairs and trustees of the Bill and Melinda Foundation. It will be interesting to see whether or not they end up sort of having 2 individual foundations or more, so that they have more autonomy and there's less sort of intermingling between the 2 of them.
Yeah, it certainly will be interesting to see. And while every marriage and every divorce is different, it'll be interesting to see if they follow in the former Bezos' footsteps, right? Jeff and Mackenzie Bezos. We know individually they both have given a record amount of money, but to different organizations and have different kind of missions. So we'll have to see how that goes. But thank you so much, Tracey Coates, for the insight. We certainly appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me.
And there's their Instagram, Facebook, website information if you'd like some more information just generally when it comes to legal matters.